Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm making pierogi with meat filling. Few of you asked me for this recipe, so today is the day. And as you notice, I always say good morning because this is the time when my children are at school, so there is no distraction. 5-year-old and 8-year-old can be very loud, playing, running back and forth, making noises, playing with the dogs. If I try to record anything with them being at home, it wouldn't be possible. Going back to that meat filling. Usually, the meat that's used for this is beef, either beef neck or beef strip. Boil the meat with vegetables, carrots, parsley, celery head, celery stick. And once your broth is ready, the meat is soft, take it out with the vegetables and grind it. It's pretty explanatory, so I won't be recording grinding it. It will take too much time and I don't want my video to be too long. And talking about this machine for grinding meat, the old-fashioned machine that you used to use your hand to grind meat, that's how I lost my finger. Few of you asked me what happened to my finger. Well, that was exactly that. I don't remember it because I was a little girl and I'm so glad I don't. But it was too late to save it, so my finger is gone forever. And once my meat is grinded, I will saute some onion, garlic, mix it together with the meat, and the meat filling will be ready. I'm not a big fan of beef. So yesterday I have cooked soup for my children, and I always do it from scratch. And I have put some chicken meat and beef, both. So a mixture with the vegetables. So that's what I'm using today, but this is my personal preference. You will decide which meat you want to use, if only beef or you want to mix it up just like I do. Like I said again, it's personal preference. So again, the vegetables are here to create more moisture. Otherwise, meat itself would be very dry. There is another variation of the meat pierogis that calls for adding sauerkraut and then grinding the meat, vegetables, and the sauerkraut. I like my original recipe, but if you are willing to experiment and try it, well, you can use that sauerkraut addition to it. Meat pierogis today. Welcome to my kitchen and thank you for watching. And that's my meat that I grinded. Some salt and pepper to taste. And now it's time to saute some onion. Dice your onions. And you can saute onions with some bacon if you want to add another layer of flavor. My husband loves bacon, so if I make pierogis for him, I usually do that. Onions on a pan with butter. Lots of Polish people use oil, and I do prefer butter. For me, it tastes much better than oil. And you will have to mince your garlic. And once you saute your onions, either with bacon or not, on the end, mince garlic. If you burn garlic and you put the garlic too soon, it will become bitter and then it will spoil the whole meal. So garlic usually goes towards the end. Okay, let's go to the pan. And as you can see, I did put some bacon in. Diced bacon, couple strips. It will give you extra flavor. That's a guarantee. If you love bacon, then that's the way to go. But it's optional. You can leave it out. And again, instead of oil, I use butter. And I can see my onions brownish and the bacon crisping up. Almost time to put my garlic in. Smells wonderful. It's done. Now I can mix it with my meat. Mix it up, taste it, salt, pepper. And your meat filling is ready. Now time to make pierogi dough. So much better than the one you buy in the store frozen. I mean, you can taste the freshness. So much better when you make it at home. Okay, that's done. Very tasty. If you do not have a grinder, you can use Vitamix. You will just need to add some vegetable broth or meat broth you have, because without the moisture, Vitamix is not gonna work for you. For pierogi dough, I will need 4 cups of all-purpose flours with that, about 500 grams salt, 2 egg yolks. If your eggs are small, and if you have a big egg, then 1 should be enough. And here is warm water with milk and butter. 1/3 of milk and the rest warm water and tablespoon of butter. So all together I have a little over 1 cup. And this is what I need for the pierogi dough. I will leave a little bit of flour on the side for dusting. If I need more, I can always get a little bit more. 1 teaspoon of salt. Make sure it is flat and not full. You don't want to overdo with salt. Okay, create this dent here for the egg yolks. And now time for the milk and water with butter. So the key here is to do it slowly. If you do it too fast, you will just make a big mess. And this is a very nice tool to have. Do it slowly. Let the liquid incorporate with the flour. There are so many types of all-purpose flour. Not all the flours are created equal. Some flours are more heavy and some are very light. Some absorb the liquid really, really quickly and you need more. So here, just slowly. Don't be in a hurry. I heard it somewhere that cooking is an art and then baking is a science. With cooking, you can be more flexible, but with the pierogi dough, if you want to have it nice and soft, you just have to play it slow. This mixture will show you when it is enough of the liquid. If you put by accident more water that's needed and your dough is more on the wet side, you can always add flour. The other way around, if your dough is really dry, you cannot do nothing about it. Okay, it's nice and soft, moist. Now I will work with my hands to put it all together. And the scraper, I love the scraper. Wonderful tool to have. Out of this recipe, you should be able to do about 50 pierogis. Okay, everything got incorporated nicely. So now I can use that leftover flour to dust my board and work the dough a little bit more. Okay, my dough is ready. Nice and smooth, everything mixed nicely. So what I need to do right now is dust it a little bit with flour and put it in foil. It needs to rest for at least 20-30 minutes. All those particles need to relax and your dough will become nice and soft. Well, let's, if I can bring it over closer. It is pretty soft as it is. But after 20-30 minutes of resting, it will be so much easier to roll it out and shape your pierogi. All those little particles need to relax, get lazy, and you will feel the difference. While I'm waiting for my dough to be nice and soft, I will saute some more onions for the end when my pierogis are ready, so I can put on top of my pierogis. And if I didn't use the bacon, I would just do it once, divide it in half and leave some for the end. But I do not want bacon on top of my pierogis. It's enough that I have it in my meat filling, so I have to do it all over again. And some of you asked me about freezing pierogis. I've never done it myself. I'm so used to it. For me, it's pretty quick. And usually I make as many as we can eat. But my neighbor next door who loves pierogis, she usually freezes them. So when I asked her about freezing, she just told me, I use baking sheet. I line one row, put the baking sheet, another row, another baking sheet, and she rotates it. Then puts it in a plastic container. Whenever she wants to boil some, she puts it in water for a minute, and then she had never had any issues with frozen pierogis. So I guess I can say my neighbor recommends using the baking sheet, and it is okay to freeze them. I am ready to roll the dough, but I want to mention, leave yourself some flour for dusting your pan, and maybe if you have another board, for the pierogis that you make. You want to have enough space to roll the dough. So I recommend using another type of a tray or something to put the pierogis on it and dust it with flour so they don't stick. And I will work with half of it, just so I have enough space on my board to roll it out. And the other half, again, sprinkle a little bit with flour so it doesn't stick to the foil, and leave it to rest. And here you can see how much softer the dough is after 20-30 minutes of just resting. Like, it's so stretchy. It should be very easy to roll for you. I've made so many pierogis with my grandma. Every time we had a holiday, she's not with me no more, but that was the first thing she taught me, how to make the pierogis. Some people like to use a round glass to shape the dough, and I don't use that because with glass you have leftover dough that you have to roll again, and then when you roll again you have to add more flour and more flour, so the dough itself is not gonna be as soft. I just cut out squares and work the dough to create and shape around. I will show you. And how thick it is for me. And it's so stretchy. It should be very easy to maneuver. So here is my meat filling. If you have trouble with the dough because it doesn't stick for you, you can always dip your fingers in water. I never have a need for it. The dough is soft enough and easy to lock. Then I just never use water. But I had a couple of you guys asking me about it, so that's why I figure I'll mention it. So you go around and you have a square right now. So the first time you just go around and lock the dough, like the pierogi, the filling inside. And the second time, so you have a square. Second time you go around, you push the corners in, and then it becomes round. You don't waste any dough doing that. You don't have to re-roll it again and again. Okay. Just close it all around, squeeze it, dip your fingers in flour, and you see how the corners here are sticking out. So the second time around, you push the corners into that pierogi. And here you go. And like I said, I don't need any water, but if you want to make sure that the dough sticks, you can dip your fingers in some water and work with the dough. And again, dip my fingers in flour and see how the corners here are sticking. Second time around, push the corners in. When you stretch here the top more and push the corners in, you will have a nice round shape. Okay, about a teaspoon, full teaspoon, unless you have bigger pierogis, then you need more. Just squeeze all around. Okay, and it's gonna look like this. And now dip your fingers in flour and go second time, and don't be afraid to squeeze. Corners in, this push out a little bit, corners in, and you have a nice round shape. And all of them will look the same. That will save you the dough. That will save you the time of rolling it again and again all over. See? And now push the corners in, squeeze the top out, push the corners in, and here you go. I am almost done with making my pierogi, so I will set a big pot of water for boiling, and in few minutes I can start boiling them. We are almost done. I have put 1 tablespoon of salt in my water, but I also like to put 1 cube of bouillon, beef bouillon, in my water, because that will give this additional flavor. It will be more like boiling your pierogis in broth. And the one I'm using doesn't have any hydrogenated fats, no preservatives, no any chemicals added. So I always try to choose the better version of whatever I buy. Not always available, I know, but I'll do my best. So 1 cube will be enough for all that. If you see my water not completely clear, then that means the cube is there. In my previous video, I have put that in and I forgot to mention it. So a couple of people were asking, why is your water not clear? Why is your water more kind of yellowish, light brown? Well, because of that cube. My water is boiling, so I can start putting those pierogi in. If you have about 50 pierogis, I would recommend putting half of it, boiling them, and then another half, not all of it at once. If it's too crowded, it won't boil that well, and some of them might open up and you won't be able to enjoy them. Once you see pierogis coming out to the surface, it will take a couple of minutes for boiling. Okay, I can take this out and stir the water a little bit so they don't stick to the bottom. And again, once you see them on the surface, couple minutes and they will be ready to take them out. I will use this, and I like to use ice water when I take them out. From hot to cold, all the particles are shrinking, lacking all the filling inside of pierogis. They're nice and tight and nothing comes out. 99% of the time I can be confident to say that I won't lose any of my pierogis, if of course I like them tight and the right way. And on top of that, I can eat them faster because they cool off faster in ice water. So after the ice water, I take a dish, put them in here so the water discards, and then a few minutes later, I can put them in my butter with the onions and have lunch. It's perfect timing because right now it's 12:15. Okay, time to take them out. And you can see none of them opened up. Finally. And of course, I'm gonna grab one. Moist. I can taste the garlic, but for me, it is the freshness of it. Nice and fresh, not like the ones from a store, frozen packages. Just make them at home, you won't be sorry. Some pepper, some salt, and I can sit to eat my lunch. Enjoy them. Thank you for watching. Bon appetit. Smacznego.